Hey guys, this is my Sennarth commentary for, well, Sennarth Mythic. This is quite late in terms of the video production. I'm sorry it's been delayed, but nonetheless, here we go. So, first things first, we're going to be talking about our talents a little bit here. So, as you can tell, I'm running the Mana Gem build, just because, it seems higher than Harmony build on single target for me and for most people. Make sure if you haven't already swapped, check out your sim, especially with double prodigious savant. Check out your different gear and all that good stuff. But other than that, I am not running the cleave barrage build because frankly you just don't cleave enough on this fight with it. The boss hitbox is like kind of weird. Explanation is most of cleave happens from the center of the hitbox, and the boss's center of the hitbox is like really far from all the ads. So I'm running the missiles talents instead. I'm playing Shimmer, which I don't usually play, but on this fight specifically it's really good. Main reason is because basically due to the slow on the ice, all the like movement is hindered. So anytime you need to move, anytime to cover like a certain like I don't know 10 yards of distance with like pressing W or whatever, takes quite a bit longer. So ice flows, you're gonna need many more charges to maintain that uptime of DPS while you're walking. Whereas for Shimmer, you just Shimmer, right? It's super easy. And make sure you grab this energized barrier thing here. Super valuable because it removes the slow from the web. And super important. But without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, you advocate before the pull, as I already did. I'm going to be Arcane Blasting the boss here pre-pull, and then I'm going to orb all the spiderlings, so I get to max charges. And then I'm instantly going to go into a Rune Radiant and do my burst. There's a unique tech you can do here on Sennarth, which just happened here. So I did my usual thing, where I Nether Tempest Barrage, so I Nether Tempest Surge, and then I go into a Barrage Touch. The recommended usually with double lust is to do Arcane Blast plus Barrage after your surge. But on this fight specifically, there's an interesting tech you can do where you can Barrage, Touch of the Magi, Arcane Blast, and that Arcane Blast will actually land before the Barrage does, which means you still get the same benefits as if you were to Arcane Blast and Barrage at the same time. Instead, the Arcane Blast actually feeds into Touch of the Magi. So just to pause it here, just to kind of show you guys, you can tell that my Arcane Blast, let me rewind a little bit, my Arcane Blast hits right before my Barrage does. Let's see if I can snipe it. Right there. 315k crit. It consumes Harmonic Echo. And it landed, obviously it landed before the Barrage, that's why it hit so hard. And this goes into Touch of the Magi. It's just an extra 20% on this Arcane Blast that you wouldn't normally have. Well, a bit more than 20 because things are multiplicative, but yeah. Anyway, we continue the rotation, usual stuff. Blast, blast, missile, blast, blast, missile, rinse and repeating. Towards the end, I do a Palm Arcane Blast, dumping my missile, and then I'm going to go into a Shifting Power. Notice that I don't barrage at any point here, right? Like, this is Mana Gem. I barrage there because I'm a little worried about mana, but I actually think that it wasn't super necessary, but we'll see. But yeah, you don't really want to barrage with this build. After the grip, you can start your rune. If you're worried about your cooldown timings for the second spider, you can typically send this rune a little earlier than I did. I waited for the grip. You could probably use alter time and do your rune ASAP, and then one of your mini burns will line up with the second spider, but we'll see. Just remember this rune was a bit delayed for the future. But yeah, I do my burst. Because I'm far away, I get to do the tech again, right? Where I barrage, touch of the Magi Arcane Blast. You can see I even step backwards just to, ensure that it's gonna be fine. Once again, it lands 150k crit before my barrage does, so it gets that extra benefit into Touch of the Magi. You can do this as long as you're far away enough, right? It's all based off of the barrage travel time. If barrage is like the travel time is too short, then you won't fit that Arcane Blast. It's very like close without double lust. I would recommend being at the very back of the platform if you're gonna do it. If you're not gonna do it, it's fine. Just do Arcane Blast into barrage before you Touch of the Magi. But anyway, I finished my Touch of the Magi, my mini burst here, put my shield up. I'm a little now, so I'm kind of glad that I dumped my barrage earlier. But yeah, so just kind of going through the fight. I really recommend here, your evocation will probably line up the exact same time. Don't evocate here straight away, because what might happen is this. I kind of like blink bad. If this happens to you, you'll notice I make the choice not to evocate here because of the fact that I'm kind of worried about being knocked off. And I kind of rely on Ice Block to prevent me from like, as like a last ditch effort. Instead, I get pulled into the rock, thankfully, and as soon as I know I'm safe, I start evocating. It's completely fine. I'm gonna get it off before my burst. Ideally, you want to get your evocation like, you know, you want your evocate to finish, and then for you to have 5 seconds of Arcane Blast spamming and Arcane Missile stuff, if you need to, um, before you burst. That's like the ideal time. You don't want to evocate and then go straight into your burst. That's just a loss straight up. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I get 2 blasts off and then I start sending my burst. For you guys here who are on progress, your raid leaders might ask you to hold this burst for the spider. That's pretty bad to do for Arcane Mage's DPS. It's just, your group needs to do X amount of damage, right? Like the health on the spider add is like you might as well have to add it to the boss's HP. Sacrificing our damage to kill a spider inefficiently is kind of rough for overall because boss, like dying is really important for last phase because you will get overwhelmed. If your guild has absolutely no other choices, you can hold this burst. But one alternative you can do is to send this burst ASAP, and then your mini burst will actually line up with the end of the spider. I'll show you in a bit. But yeah, you can see here I did the Arcane Blast into Barrage combo instead of Barrage Touch Blast, just because I was a bit scared. Could have probably went for Barrage Touch Blast, but want to play it safe. But yeah, so the spider spawns. This is our re-kill, so I'm not too stressed about it, even though it actually does get a bit close. But I finished my big burst, do my orb, hit multiple targets, a shifting power, and my burst here is about ready. So right here, you can send your mini burst on the mini spider. If you were to have actually not delayed the one I was referring to before we went upstairs, earlier in the fight, if you didn't delay that one and sent it, this burst would be up like 3 to 5 seconds earlier, and you'd be able to send on this spider a lot more comfortably with your mini burn. That's actually probably the play that I would do in hindsight, if like in progress. Sending mini burst on the side, it does a good job. Like it does good damage. It's not amazing, but it's something, It's like a happy middle ground. So yeah, not much more to say about that. One alternative you can do is if you have similar timings to me right here, you can rune Radiant on the spider, do your your Radiant ramp, and then right after your barrage, press tab, go to the boss, and then press touch of the Magi on the boss. Because you touch the Magi on the ad is going to be completely useless, because it's going to die most likely, right? If it's not going to die, obviously you can send touch on the spider, but yeah. It's actually really good to touch on the spider if you can, like if you can get away with it, because the touch on the spider will explode on the boss, but not the other way around. So there is some value in like nuking the spider with touch of the Magi, but obviously like you don't want to waste 2-3 seconds or something on your touch of the Magi just to do it on the spider. That's not really worth it. On this I like to just go on the boss, obviously. You'll see everybody kind of gets owned, but you can tell our spider is living for a very long time, but our healers are good and it's a re-kill, so it's not a big deal. Yeah. So we go through our burst, nothing special, right? We're just doing our rotation, blast, blast, missile, and touch, and at the end we use palm. One note about the grip, don't throw alter time whenever you have it. You can tell I have it here and I distinctly like not use it on this pull, specifically because I'm going to want to move to the stairs anyway, right? A really important part about this fight as Arcane is basically moving down the platforms when you're not doing damage. So when you're not in your burst, that's when you want to move, right? If you lag behind, you will die. Healers will be out of range of you. So really gotta focus on when you're actually moving across the platform. If you need to pre-move, which you'll see me do later, then you need to do that, right? But for example, on that one, I didn't alter because I wanted to move anyway, so I'm not gonna use my alter time there. It's just a waste, especially when I'm not in my cooldowns. But yeah, we're about to go up. Make sure you check the tornadoes. We were fine here. I kind of clutch it here at the moment, a little bit of a risky play, but for me it's okay. I send my evocate. I go up as much as I can here because we want to move when we're not doing damage, and then I just start my burst again. This is where saving my alter time, pays off because I didn't use it earlier. So you'll see here I'm just doing my usual burst. I go into blast, barrage, touch, missile, and as I'm getting missiles, I alter time back right afterwards, and I just continue my burst. Finish up my burst. I'm gonna go into my shifting, pretty normal stuff for the fight. Like there's nothing, this is not some special tech or anything like that, just regular gameplay for Harmony and Gem pretty much. My rune is ready, time to burst, right? But right before I burst, I do make sure that I move a little bit ahead, right? Like we talked about before. Move outside your burst so I can kind of be more ahead. If I just planted over there and I just started bursting, everybody on my platform would kind of be shifting to the left here, which would be not great for me if I'm all the way on the right, right? So instead I shift and I move a little bit, use my shimmer, displace myself a little bit. Be very careful on this spider if your timing lines up like this, because if you get a web during this spider ad being alive, you will get destroyed. It does a lot of damage. The web debuff actually really hurts when you have a big spider up. This third spider usually gets destroyed quite fast thanks to warlocks and like boomkins and stuff. It's 3 minutes into the fight, so 3-minute cooldowns are pumping this one. And you'll see here I get the web debuff. And this spider is dying fairly quickly. But I get the web debuff and I still almost die. Like I literally went to 1.5k HP or something. I slam my health stone because I noticed it in time. I commit to a blast here. Thankfully it went off. My boomkin's battling demons right now. He actually manages to play it well. But yeah, craft my mana gem because I have to before my next burst. And I'm just kind of moving, saving my altar time, right? Because I want to be moving across anyway. I evocate here. And make sure you finish your evocate before you take your gateway. Take gateway, double shimmer across, and then start my burst. So this looks pretty greedy by me, right? Standing here at the top of the thing when circles are going to be coming. The thing is, not many classes have cooldowns at this point. 4 minutes, 15 seconds. They're either holding until it's a little safer, like they're 2 minutes, or their 3 minutes are already done, right? A lot of classes actually stand their 2 minutes on the go because most of them don't actually have to stand still. Unfortunately, we have to stand still, and this is our cooldown timing. So we get to be a little greedy, but almost nobody else has cooldowns here at this point. So we get to be a little greedy. Arcane Blast Barrage, nothing crazy. I'm delaying my Lust here, right? Because I want to line it up with Trinket and Pot. No reason to just send it for no reason. You'll notice here I'm in Execute, and I don't go for the Barrage and Touch of the Magi. This is something that I think a lot of people like really make a big deal out of that like shouldn't be a big deal. If you never Barrage and Execute, it's like a 200 DPS loss for mana gem build. It's very minor. So my rule of thumb is don't barrage and execute unless you're like 10 to 20 yards away from the boss. Here I'm much further than 10 to 20 yards because the boss is off the edge, right? I'm more like 30 yards. So there's no point in me sending my barrage there. I instead use Presence of Mind into Touch of the Magi, right? I move. I did use Altar there. Probably in hindsight not needed. But yeah. In the last phase, you can stack your webs like this because we have energized barrier, so we can clear our slow. So you can see I have a 35% slow, and it's going to get a bit bigger. I'm going to shimmer and then use barrier to remove the slow. Now it's gone. My mini burst is back, and I'm just sending. And the important thing here, you'll notice, is that I'm just sending cooldowns on cooldown, right? Like that's just how you do damage. You cannot delay your cooldowns. Like it's just not how Arcane does damage, right? You just have to send. Just play around it. If you send and something fucks you over, you just have to like figure out why and how to avoid it, right? You just have to figure out a way to play around it. Here, this is the first ice drops. Typically, the first 1 to 2 you like soak by yourself, right? Your guild like allows you to do it. So you see, I'm just standing still and committing. I did the Arcane Blast. Ideally, I would have had Altar Time for that one instead. Maybe not, just to stay in my rune, we'll see. But now it's Execute. I'm like, fairly close to the boss. So I actually do go for a barrage on this one. It's not too bad. I palm Arcane Blast just to do a little more damage in. And then yeah, just kind of doing my thing. Regular gameplay. Oops, sorry. My evocation is up. My rune is in 10 seconds, so I can press evocation right now. I could have already pressed it like even 5 seconds ago if I wanted to, and it would have Siphon Storm would have lasted the entirety of my next burn. It's completely fine to do this. You can press evocation when Touch of the Magi is 25 to 20 seconds remaining. That's the rule. You don't want to delay more than 20 seconds. If you really want to, like 18 is really pushing it, but 25 to 18 seconds is your evocation like window. If you're delaying it much further than that, you're just making your life harder because you're gonna have less mana for your like next window, And also you're just going to be like basically wasting some Siphon Storm buff duration. So here I should be evocating. I evocate right now just to do it on the move. So I can move with it, a little optimization. And now I have some, GCDs to do some Arcane Blasts, maybe get an Impetus proc if I'm lucky. I missiles there because it's my last burn of the fight, right? And I know this is my last burn of the fight. So instead of just like sending my burst straight away, like the advantage of sending burst straight away so you can, put it on cooldown so you can use the next one. But I know this is my last one. It's my biggest one with Lust and Trinket and Pot. So instead I opt to go for this missiles just to get me my double nether precision. In hindsight, I actually could have probably just Arcane Blasted a bit more until I got an Impetus proc. But frankly, in the heat of the moment, I didn't think of that. But maybe something I should think about in the future. But, delaying for an Impetus proc might have been worth it. But at least I get my nether precision. So now my first two Arcane Blasts are stronger. I pop all my cooldowns. We're about to get pushed back. I press Alter Time. I'm doing my cooldowns. I Nether Tempest during this free GCD. And I alter back. Right, so I'm not wasting time. And then I'm instantly Arcane Surging. So every single global was in Runa Power. Arcane Blast, Barrage, Touch, Missiles. And we're just sending on the boss here fully. Usual rotation. I'm pretty close to the boss, so I should Barrage here, but I don't think I do. This was a mistake not to. I just go for a Palm Arcane Blast instead. And then at this point here, the boss is dead. I have enough mana to just keep spending. Do not Shifting Power. This is very troll of me. I should not have done this. I think I was expecting to like get a second mini burn or something like that. Or for like Radiant Spark. Unfortunately, Shifting Power does not reduce Radiant Spark, and it didn't get me my cooldown back. So this was just straight up a mistake. I could have done like 2 to 3 more Arcane Blasts easily. Instead I don't. Yeah, it was just bad. So I just keep sending Arcane Blasts and we kill the boss. That's pretty much it. Main takeaways is don't hold your cooldowns. Send cooldowns as much as you can. This fight is really important for that because kill times vary a lot, so you don't want to be wasting CDs. If your raid leader really asks you to save stuff, you really can't, but if you really have to, you can, I guess. Like, it's kind of forced, but whatever. One alternative you can do is to not hold your second, like your second burst, which is like the first mini burn, so to speak, the one at like 35 seconds. Send it ASAP, and then send your big burn ASAP, and then your mini burn will line up with the spider coming up. You can probably do a full mini burn on the spider as soon as it comes up. You don't need autumn or anything like that. And move outside your cooldowns, very important. Save alter time for your burst pulls, like don't just alter time any random pull. If you're not in your burst, just hold your alter time. Typically lines up so you can actually move instead of like auto timing, right? Move ahead. Always move outside your cooldowns and plant during your cooldowns. That's the key to this fight. I hope these things help. If there was anything specific that was super helpful or anything I missed, please let me know in the comments so I can improve for the future. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.